So in this one, we're making some bath bombs, and no, they won't cost a bomb. Who has time for pampering at Christmas? Or even, how do you say to the person that you love, look, stop rushing around, just take the weight off your feet and have some you time? I think giving somebody a bath bomb is the ultimate slice of luxury, and it won't break the bank. Waitressing skills, they never leave you. Anyway, the other good thing about bath bombs is that you can make them really personalised. So, for example, if you know that the person you're giving it to loves going to Spain on holiday, then you can make it smell of Spanish oranges or bergamot or something like that. Or if you want to make it about Christmas, it could be that it's a warming cinnamon scent, for example. Can you hear Rod snoozing? There's lots of different ways to make it personal, including the colour and the shape, but let's get to the basic premise. I'm going to share all the ingredients with you so you know how to make your own bath bombs. So this is what we're making right now, bath bombs. They're surprisingly easy and I think look lovely. Gingerbread man there. Different colours, different smells. I'm going to show you how you can make them yourself. Now, the basic premise of making bath bombs is that you add all the dry ingredients together, make sure they're mixed in really well so there's no lumps, and then you very slowly add the wet ingredients in so that essentially it doesn't activate before you have a chance to get it to the bath, so that it can fizz like it's supposed to. So with the dry ingredients, you want 1 amount of baking soda and half that amount of the other elements. So I've got these. I think they're great. I'm going to use this, obviously, which is a 1 cup measurement, and then the half cup measurement for the other dry ingredients. Starting with the baking soda or sodium bicarbonate. Now, it could be that if you've had yours a while, it's hardened, because baking soda can harden, in storage. And that will make it slightly more challenging in this bit. So I would say when you're putting this in, make sure that there's no clumps before you add anything else in. That'll be much easier. So now I think I'll add half a cup of citric acid. Then half a cup of Epsom salts. And then half a cup of corn flour. Then once all of that's in, you are going to spend a couple of minutes at the very least mixing all those dry ingredients together. So now you're ready to add the wet ingredients. So a tablespoon of coconut oil, a tablespoon of water, and then about a teaspoon of fragrance and a few drops of colouring if you're going to use them. And again, you're going to add them very slowly but stir quickly so that the elements in there don't fizz up before you have a chance to mould them. Okay, so let's start with the coconut oil. Measuring out a tablespoon and then very gradually adding that to the bowl and making sure that I stir quickly. Now to the water. Slightly more challenging than the coconut oil. Only in terms of it not fizzing away when it hits the dry ingredients. Now what you might find is that the coconut oil, as it starts to harden with that mixture, creates small clumps, and what you don't want is clumps before you want to mould it. So in other words, try and make it as fine a consistency as possible at this stage. And then you're ready to test it. Now what should happen is when you grab this and when you put it in the palm of your hand, it will create a shape of sorts, a bit like if you had wet sand. This is the point at which you'll add colouring and also the scent. To be fair, you might want it to be plain in terms of its colour, that's fine too. So we'll start with a perfume first, and I think I might go with the rose perfume. With the essential oils, it's about a teaspoon for this kind of quantity, but I eyeball it, to be perfectly frank. It's just like up to 15 drops approximately, so let's do that. And again, we are mixing the entire time. So now that you've put those essential oils in, whichever scent you've chosen, it's time to either add colouring or making some. And the reason why I say this is, what I like to do, especially when I've got a big batch like this, is make some that are white, then add a bit of colouring, and then make some in a different shape, and then maybe add some more colouring. So I might add yellow the first time, blue the second time, and you've got green, obviously. Okay, so I'll start by making some white hearts with no food colouring. As a general rule, if you are going to use a silicone mould, what you want to do is find the stronger ones. The more flexible ones might not work as well, and you find it hard to pack it in, and you do need to pack it in quite tightly. So let's make a couple of hearts. There are the white hearts, ready to harden. And I would say the second that you've packed them into anything, whether it's a silicone mould or you've recently tongued it, I might explain that in a minute, leave them to harden. Don't touch them for at least 24 hours, and that way they'll be ready to use. And even if you're just packaging them up, they'll be much stronger and less likely to crumble. Now I think I'll add some blue colouring, but just a small amount. And what you want to do is make sure that it's completely mixed through everything, and that might take a couple of minutes. Ready to use my meat tongs. So again, same premise, you just want to pack it really tightly into the tong, hold it together, tap it so it releases, and hopefully this works. So I've experimented with lots of different shaped moulds, and basically I wanted to work out how much of the finer detail would pop out. So as an example, I thought I'll use a lollipop mould that's the shape of a little bear, and I'll even put a stick in the end just to see, you know, if it works. Now, I'll show you what happens. For a start, it's difficult to remove because, you know, the stick's in the way. And also, if I just show you the detailing on that mould, it has little eyes and a nose and a mouth and a scarf and the feet, and actually all of those details make it much more hard for the mixture to solidify. So what you end up with, oh, this one's perfect. How did that happen? It's got eyes and a nose, but it doesn't happen every time. I think personally there are loads of different ways in which you can make these different, in which you can make them look really cute and personal, but the trick is to work out how your moulds will turn out, and that just takes trial and error. Sometimes it won't work the way you think it's going to. I do think obviously if you make big amounts, that's much better in the long run, and it's cheaper, it's much more cost effective, but it's a great thing to do. It's a lovely process, and they are really nice when they've dried. They're beautiful. People can't believe you made them yourself. Or maybe it's just me.